Hello, good evening. Welcome, Jenny Soft. Welcome, Hawa Hassan. Welcome, Abimbola. How is everyone doing? Hello, can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, drop the heart emoji if you can hear me, so that I'm sure that you can actually hear me. Okay. Um, please, if you can hear me, kindly drop the heart emoji so I'm sure you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, great. Vixen Design is here. Welcome, Vixen's Design. Okay. So, in our usual tradition, we are still going to start with the question. So, I see that most of you did the heuristic audit. So, we are still going to start with questions. So, if you have questions, please drop it in the comment section before we begin today's class. So if you have question, go ahead and drop it in the comment section so we can answer them. But I'm just going to give you 5 minutes to do that. If in the next 5 minutes I do not get any questions, then we proceed to today's class. But I do hope we have questions so we can answer them. Okay? Any question? Welcome, Ambrose. Any question? So if you have any question, please drop them so we can answer them within the next 5 minutes so we can proceed to what we have in store today. I'm not actually seeing any question. I don't know if I should proceed. Welcome, Sakina. Good evening, sir. Not a question, but the audio is slow. The audio is slow. Let me see. The audio is slow. Let me check the microphone settings and open sound settings. Open sound settings. Let me check from my end. Let me see. My volume, microphone volume. Okay, my mic volume is actually at 100%, but I'm sure you should be hearing me clearer now. Okay, can you hear me clearer now? Fuzzy Tech, please, I joined the Telegram group and I discovered that the registration from Stream 2 has closed. No, it hasn't. Fuzzy Group, kindly visit designgate.academy to register, okay? Go to designgate.academy to register. I think I'm just going to pin it so that you can easily get it, okay? So designgate.academy, that's where you're supposed to register. If you're not there, that means you're going to have issues registering, okay? So I'm just going to paste it here, designgate.academy. So once you get to the website, okay, once you get to the website, you have two options. You can register for free or you can register with guided assistance. So if you know you can actually, you want you can learn at your own, you can learn on your own, right, with all the resources we provide you. You go ahead and choose the register for free. But if you want guided assistance, you can go ahead and register and make payment for guided assistance. Although this is not your class though, if you're trying to register for Stream 2. So just so you don't get confused, you can hang around or you can just come back for Stream 2. But if you're already a designer and you just want to get an idea, yeah, you can hang around. But you're definitely going to even redo this class, okay? So yeah. Okay, so who else is here? I can see former star boy Caleb. Caleb is here. Although I think we have a star girl now. Okay, Justice is here. Adeleke is also here. Okay, great. So I was saying, if you have any question, please drop the question. Drop the questions, and then drop the questions so I can answer them. Now, based on what you guys did for the heuristic audit, you guys really tried, right? But we are just going to later on. I'm just going to give you guys some tips, because some of you some of you began to complain, right? Now imagine you were hired as a UX auditor by a business to come and audit their site, and you started complaining to them. They are going to feel so bad. So you need to learn how to make your point, and also without looking as if you are now complaining or yelling at the business owner who is about to pay you. Okay, yeah. Tolupe, can you hear me now? Volume is too low. Okay, I think maybe I'll have to buy a loudspeaker as well. Hopefully Tolupe is able to hear me now. Hopefully the volume is no longer low. Tolupe, if you can hear me clearer now, just indicate, so I'm sure that you are not. Okay, Sakina, I've seen your question. We'll take a look at that. Okay. So Sakina said, I have a question. In the assessment, we're asked to write out the specific problem on the Wesley University question. How are we to write problem statements? Yeah, problem statements, we'll look at them today. Okay. There are different ways to write problem statements, but there are standardized ways you can actually write your problem statement where it will make sense. Okay, there are some standardized ways to look at writing problem statements, and that is what we'll also look at. Okay, so we'll take a look at that, because without these standardized ways, some of you might write two-paged articles, just trying to just trying to write out a problem statement, which is going to be very terrible. Okay, so we'll look at that here. Okay, so any other question? Okay, great. So Tolupe can hear clearer now. Any other question before we proceed? Any other questions? Okay, so since there are no other questions, we'll go ahead to proceed to today's presentation. Okay, so let me go ahead and make this fit to screen. So fill screen. I'm trying to fit. Okay. So let me hide Figma UI. And okay, so we're about going live. So here we are. Okay, great. So I always like referring back to this diagram, so that the more we go back and forth, if you have forgotten some things, with repetition, you could actually remember and start getting a hang of some of these things that we keep talking about. Okay, don't forget, if you have your question, always ask in the comment section. My colleague should be able to pick it out, so that later on I can answer your question. So again, let's take a look at how do you start. Okay, let's take a look at how do you start again. So if you don't mind, you can actually like the live. You can like the live, comment and interact with the live. So it helps with the post. Okay. So let's come back here again, so that in case you've forgotten, this will serve as a refresher. Good evening, David. Welcome. So we said when you want to approach UX design, there is an easy way to actually know exactly what to do, because sometimes one of the most difficult things is not knowing what to do, right? So here we said, in case you want to approach a UX design, this is what you can do. So when someone approaches you for a UX design, the first question is, do you have something to show the user? Now, this something to show the users, it could be a design that you've done. It could also be a lookalike design or a product that is already solving that problem, okay? It could be a product that is already solving that problem, or a problem related to what you are trying to solve or make better, okay? So now the question is, do you have something to show the user? If your answer is yes, that means you are coming over to this side, okay? Let me see if we can increase the zoom. Okay, so I'm just increasing this zoom so that we can see the screen clearer. Okay, let me reduce it. Okay, I think this is okay. I think this is better now. Now, do you have something to show the user? If your answer is yes, the next question is, do you think you know what needs to be fixed? If your answer is yes, the next thing is to know whether you know exactly what to fix. Okay, and we said, if you know what to fix, it's easy. Just do an A/B testing. Okay, conducting an A/B testing will help you, choose and make the best design decisions. Now, what about if you don't know what needs to be fixed? You have a design, yes, but you don't know what to be fixed. The next question is, do you have an extra money with you? Okay, if you have some extra money, then you can go ahead and conduct these more advanced research techniques. Okay, you can do eye tracking and also do usability testing. That way, you'd be able to know what exactly to fix on that design and make it better, okay, for the users. Now, if your answer to this is no, welcome, Thames Baby. If your answer to this is no, then you conduct a heuristic audit. And then for a heuristic audit, we did something over the week, during the weekday. We did an assignment that is conducting a heuristic study on a website. And you can see that although some of the mistakes most of you make is not knowing where to categorize the problems you observed, which is absolutely normal, okay? So for the first time when conducting these things, you might come across this problem. And sometimes these problems, they are not because you don't understand. Sometimes it's basically because the points or the issue you might identify might not directly have a clear connotation or correlation with those Nelson Norman 10 usability heuristics. It's very, very possible, right? Remember, these things are frameworks. So sometimes and I see some of you trying to force it into some categories that it didn't belong to. Now, what you need to know is this. Just because we have that 10 Norman's 10 usability heuristic, just because we have 10 of them, does not mean that whenever you are conducting a heuristic audit, you must find all 10 problems. Depending on the task you are trying to carry out, okay? Most of the issues with that particular website actually falls on feedback, system feedback. Because most of the time you click something, you don't even know what is going on, right? You don't know if the system is processing, or you don't even know what is going on. And likely, like some of you mentioned, we also have the issue of what those reward issues, where you don't even know. They use some funny languages on the website, although it's not their fault. I think it's from the developer who failed to, delete some pages that came with the theme. So you have a lot of lorem ipsum, you have a lot of text that does not make sense. But this is what you, as a UX researcher, right, is supposed to discover, and after discovering them, you proceed to fix them by redesigning the whole experience. Now, when I mean experience, you also notice that when you are trying to register for a course, instead of it taking you to the course page to choose your course or to learn more about the course, it took you to a page where you are now asked to enter password, and you have not even created an account before. So you can see some of these issues, you only discover them when you are testing these things out, right? That is when you discover them, and then you can move to fix it. Now, this particular issue, that particular one could be an issue with the information architecture of that website. The information architecture, right? When you click here, it's not supposed to actually, it's supposed to either give you a brief summary of the course like you guys recommended and suggested, or it takes you to the course page, right? Not taking you to the login screen page, and it's not even asking for username, rather it's asking for password. And even when you click on the password, nothing happens. Even when you enter a wrong password, the system feedback is 0. So most of the issues on that platform is system feedback, right? So we also see some issues on consistency. There were a lot of inconsistency on the website. So yeah, so basically, like I said, some of you wrote things and then didn't put them in the appropriate places. Is absolutely normal, right? So as time goes on, you keep understanding it better, and you know where they fall in. But this is what I actually want to bring to your notice. Most of the time, the problem you might be looking for might not necessarily, might not necessarily be okay for you to, you to discover using the Nelson 10 usability heuristics. So there are other heuristics you could use. So this is one of them. So you can actually use this heuristic here. So there are different heuristics you could use. So let's take a look at these heuristics. This is the IA heuristic. This one actually basically talks about findable, accessible, clear, communicative, useful, credible, controllable, valuable, learnable, and delightful. So if you think that Nelson's 10 heuristic is not working well for what you want to do, you could now look for other frameworks, like this framework right here. I think this framework will actually work better. So this is the Abby. I'll share it with you guys later, but there are a lot of frameworks. Don't forget, these frameworks are basically things that people, like I told you guys, people, companies, individuals have put together, right? So you can use them as a benchmark. Remember, when you talk about heuristic audit, there is always something you are evaluating it against. So either you use that one, or you can go on ahead and use this particular one that talks more on findable, accessible, clear, communicative, useful. So I think if you guys were using this one, it would have been easier for you guys to put your head together and put things better than the other one. But why I wanted us to use that one is because that is the most standard used ones. Remember, what we did was basically a website. A website is different from a web apps. Like most of you won't see like back buttons and things like that on a website. Most websites, they basically provide either a breadcrumb or they expect you to use the browser's back button, right? But it's not actually a good user experience. breadcrumbs have better user experiences on a website. So for website, you might want to use this ABIA heuristic. There are other heuristics we'll share later, okay? I will share the workbooks with you later on, so that when you are auditing, you know exactly which one to use. But this particular one I'm showing you now works well for websites as well, right? The other one works better for apps and also web apps, but you can also use it for website. Sorry, you can also use it for website most of the time, because you are actually going to notice that maybe in some websites, just like the one we shared, there are no feedbacks. In some websites, when you fill a form, it does not give you any feedback, which is bad. So you take note of it and redesign the experience. Okay, so that was what we did earlier this week. So heuristic audit. For those of you that submitted, you got your score. So it was not an assessment, right? But make sure that workbook is very important. We are still going to share the empty one, okay, the empty one, so that you can keep it. Anytime you want to conduct a heuristic audit using that particular Jacob's 10 usability heuristics, you can just go ahead and use that particular workbook and then duplicate it and create your heuristics, conduct your heuristic audit, okay? It is not really something difficult. It's basically for you to go out there, go through, complete a task, write down your observation, and if you have recommendation as a UX designer, you should always have, you write it down, okay? So in real life, these things are conducted as workshops. So they gather people. In most cases, you won't be the only one conducting it. Reason being that when you conduct it, you are going to have your personal biases, right? You are going to have your personal bias. So that is why you have like a team of 4 to 5 UX designers, UX researchers. They go through the site, and then everyone write down his or her own words, issues, and then recommendation. And by the end of the workshop, the coordinator brings in all the heuristics reports, and then everyone goes through it and then analyze it. When they now analyze it, they can now prioritize which ones to go with first. That is why it's important for you to score them, right? So by the time you score them, they'll start looking at those ones with very low scores. So when they see those ones with very low scores, that means that particular problem is very critical. So that is the one they might move to solve. But there are other tools you can use for prioritization, okay? So you go ahead to now solve that problem based on the best recommendation. But remember, your recommendations, there are no bad ideas, okay? So you go ahead and solve it out. Okay, so question from Geniusoft. Are we the one to choose the particular heuristic framework to work with, or our stakeholders would? Or does it depend on the project we are working on? In most cases, the Jacob's 10 heuristic will be perfect for almost every case scenario. But there are some times that they might not work exactly, or you might not find a better way to express the problem you are facing with that particular website. So you look for another heuristics, okay? Which in this particular one, there are a lot of them, but in this particular one, you can see that it is a little bit more rounded. You have able to be located, findable. That website have so many issues when it comes to findable, right? It has many issues when it comes to findable. Can we use more than one established heuristic framework to audit a product, sir? To not complicate issues, it's better to use one framework for a product. Now, don't forget, what I want you guys to understand this evening is this. These ones I'm just mentioning, or the ones we listed earlier, they are popular ones. In fact, some organizations might actually come up, some UX organizations can actually come up with their own heuristic audit evaluation tools, right? They can come up with their own. They can say, okay, here in this agency, this is what we use to evaluate products, and it works for us. It might be an internal tool that is not out there. So you have to read through. The most important thing is to read through and know where the evaluation benchmark. Because when you are conducting a heuristic audit, there must be an evaluation benchmark. If there are no evaluation benchmarks of things you should be looking out for, so you can write out the issues and the recommendation, then it's not a heuristic audit. You must have a benchmark. So in some cases, some organizations, some companies have internal tools, right, that they use. Some agencies have internal tools that they use. But once you don't have these internal tools and you don't even know where to start, you can go ahead and use these popular ones to fix your app. Okay, I hope it's clearer right now. But for us, since we are learning, as we are learning, that is why we are using this Jacob usability heuristics, and we could use I will share other framework that you can use. They are easy to follow through. Like if you come to this one now, one is telling you findable, able to be located, right? Number one, the other one, accessible, easily approached or entered, clear, easily perceptible, communicative, talkative, informing, timely. You can now write, okay, maybe as I'm trying to get locate to this, under findable, this link is not findable, right? Then you give recommendation. Maybe the recommendation could be on the information architecture, or it could be that you want it placed somewhere on the home screen because this is important and you want it more findable. Okay. Another question from question from Abimbola. Sir, when conducting a heuristic evaluation, do we evaluate every aspect of the website, or we only perform specific tasks to find usability issues? Okay, this is a great question, and this is the answer. In UX, you want to be as specific as possible, right? So even if you want to conduct a heuristic evaluation on the entire website, you just can't say, go to this website and conduct a heuristic evaluation. That is too broad. Instead, you conduct them based on task, because it is when you carry out a task on the website, that is when you can actually say, okay, I move from here to here to here to here. So that in case you are communicating it, you can now tell them that this issue was detected when trying to do this. Okay? But if you don't write out the task, or if you are not specific enough with the task, you might actually not know how to explain to them, or for them to know exactly what you are trying to do to experience that issue. If you notice, those tasks we spelled out. Basically, if you finish that task, you've almost gone through what the website is all about. So it's almost like we did the heuristic study on the whole website, but we didn't just say go to the website. Instead, we gave you a task so that it can be measurable. Imagine we just say go to the website and conduct a heuristic audit. Will you even know when you are done without having a specific task you want to do, right? So assigning task is an easier way to actually even know when you are done. Okay, so it's very easy. Every website have a task. So even when you are building your app, you are going to see what we talked about the task flow, right? So when you are building your app, once you do your task flow, that should show you all the tasks on that app. So when conducting your heuristic audit, you are expected to carry them out task by task. So by the time you carry out all those tasks, you will discover some of the usability issues on that product. So I hope, Abimbola, I hope I'm able to answer that question, right? So if you still don't have a clearer understanding, you can still ask that question again. So basically, the essence of this live is for you to get a clearer understanding of whatever you might have done over the weekend. Then we introduce new concepts, okay? So I'll be proceeding now. So we did that heuristic audit, which, like I said, save that workbook. We'll send the empty one again, so you have to save it. So anytime you want to conduct a heuristic audit, you can use it, okay? So basically, you want to always make sure you attach the pictures and then write your issues. That's the screen, right? Write your issues and recommendation, and then you can score it based on what you think is okay for it. Remember, aside when working on your personal portfolio, in most cases, you will not be the only one conducting that heuristic audit. You guys might be 3, 4, or 5, okay? So, I think that's the only question for now. So let me go ahead and continue this side. So now we've taken a look at everything here. That's, do you have something to show the user? And you said yes. We've actually taken a look at everything there, okay? Now, what if you don't have anything to show the user? If you said no, the next question is, do you have any idea of what to build? Now, like I told you, most of the time, you might actually have an idea of what you want to build, simply because the product you are trying to build, you are like, it's affecting you directly, and you actually feel like you know how to solve the problem, okay? But why in UX, we don't just depend on our experiences, because the chances of you solving a problem that is unique to you, or a problem that you can relate with, is very low, right? Some of us here might have read zoology in school, and then you get hired in a fintech, or you might even get hired in an embedded system company. So how do you even know what to do, right? So that is where some of these things comes into play. But if you have an idea of what to build, maybe this idea could be like from your previous experiences. Like if you've been like a UX designer for a while, or a UX researcher for a while, if some people bring problems to you, you can actually just, you can just at that point have an idea of a solution to build out. So if you have a solution to build out, don't waste any other time. Don't go and start doing fake research. Don't do. Once you have an idea, go ahead and map out your flow diagram. Reason why I'm saying this is startup companies don't have time to waste. They only want to do one thing, and that is to make money. So if there is a problem at hand and you have a solution idea, don't go and start telling your boss that we need to do user interview and do persona and do journey mapping. Before you finish it, you complete it in your house, because they would have sacked you and bring in someone who is able to work on things fast. Okay? So before I continue, let me answer this question from Faith Amanze. What is the relationship between usability testing and heuristic audit? The relationship between them is long-time partnership. Yes, they are basically married to each other. So if you want to discover some usability flaws, one of the ways you can do that is to carry out a heuristic audit. There are other user testing methods, right? But heuristic audit is one of the ways to you are confusing this thing. I just noticed what you wrote. Usability testing and heuristic audit. Okay, yeah, okay, I get it now. So they are basically, you have to sometimes conduct heuristic audit to discover usability flaws, okay? Now, while we say usability testing, there are other ways to discover usability flaws aside heuristic audit, and we'll take a look at those other ways when we get to usability testing. But heuristic audit is this one that is a little bit faster, okay? Once you already have something to show. Are we together? So yes. So if you already know what to do, someone said sack. If you already have an idea in mind, in fact, most companies want, that's why they keep saying they want people with experience, okay? Now, what most companies want is as they hot. As they are saying, we are looking for a way to solve this problem. What they want you to quickly do is you do a flow diagram. If possible, within the next 24 hours, your boss wants you to come into the office and say, sir, I developed this solution and I would like you to take a look at it. Then you already do prototype on Figma, and then they go through it, and then the program they go through it and like, this is good. They share it with some of the team members, with the engineers and everybody, and say, what do you think about this idea? Can we ship it now? That's what startup companies want. They are not interested in the user persona, journey mapping. Is it bringing money, right? So most of the time, once you have an idea of what to build, please don't waste time faking faking all this your user interview. Some of you, now you go write user interview question. Now you go still fill am, can't do fake analysis. Or sometimes you do your you write your user interview questions, post it on Twitter, and because of your own personal bias, by the time people don't answer the way you want it to be, you will now go and change all the whole thing and say, yes, these people said they want this. So instead of that, just do your flow diagram. So with your flow diagram, they can go ahead and do some other things, map it out and do some internal. Most of the time, some of this research, sometimes they're internal. They just do internal. If the programmer said I can achieve it, other people say yes, it makes sense. Other people say, and they tell the man that this will make sense and it will cut down costs but increase profit. They will say build them. Are we together? But it's another case. So we're here, when they say, do you have an idea? Do you have an idea of what to build? And your answer is no. The next question is, do you know your user's problem? Okay? Remember, to have an idea of what to build means you know your user's problem. But now, let's say you don't have an idea of what to build. The next thing is, do you know your user's problem? Now, if you know your user's problems, that means you can just do user interview to be able to know how to build it out. Remember, you already have an idea of what to build, but you are just seeking their opinion so that what you are doing will be a little bit more human-centered. Okay? Like I said, you might know a solution, but you might not be the primary user, so you might not really know the most efficient way to build it out. So you need data to support your design decision. Then you can go ahead and conduct a user interview, right? And if you don't even know what your user's problem are, you can go ahead and do a diary studies, right? So diary studies, basically, in most cases, you gather those people having that same problem, then look at them, observe them, and be able to, detect whatever their problem could be. So once you detect what their problem could be, you can go ahead to conduct that interview. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think why we like repeating this is so that if you didn't understand it before, right now you are getting a clearer understanding. So don't always miss these classes. Okay, now we talked about different UX design frameworks. We talked about the design thinking framework, the double diamond framework. Remember, we are on the other side of. We are on this side of the graph now, right? We've done some things on this side where we did heuristic audits. Now we're on this side. That means you don't know, you don't have an idea of what to build. So how do you develop an idea of what to build? We now said, first thing, you can follow these frameworks. Okay, you can follow these frameworks, but oftentimes these frameworks are not followed step by step. They are iterative. Okay, so it's not like you do one, you write, you do two, you write, you do three, you write. Okay, most of the time they are iterative. In fact, a lot of startup companies. Let me give you a typical idea of most startup companies. Startup companies will just be like, Paystack is making money. Let's do something like Paystack, but now let's use QR code to solve the issue. They get into business. Or they might say, Paystack is having a lot of audience. Can we just target people that want to do wedding and build something for them and put that payment platform there? They get to work. So by the time they get to work, they might now, at some point in their UX design process, they might now say, let's do research. Okay, some people do research in the middle, some people do research from the beginning, and some people do research at every point of their UX design process. And yes, some people also don't do any research at all, although the likelihood of the product to succeed is very low. But I can tell you, in China, most of the companies don't do any research, right? Once Samsung makes the phone, or Apple spends the millions of dollars they spend on research and development. Once they see it and they look at it, they say, oi, print two, one for Apple, one for me, right? Did they do research? No. But the only thing they are doing is where they wrote iPhone, they will now write Uphone, and they've also created their own phone. So yes, a lot of companies do that as well. So most companies, once they see what is working, they call you in as the UX designer and said, we want to do this that these people are doing. So their own is Space Stack, our own is going to be Quick Stack. So it's very possible, right? So that's why most of the things I've been trying to tell you guys, but I don't know why some of you are not keeping to this. When I say at this stage, when I say design something exactly to look like what you have, there is a reason behind it. That is what most people do, especially for entry-level designers. Entry-level designers, they are not expecting you to change the world within your first 2 months. Instead, you are basically going to be making the landing page look better. You are basically going to making the forms look better. Small things like that before you can even start attending the strategy meetings, the design meetings, and things like that. Okay, but you might just start with web pages, the screens, the form, the contextual menus. These are things you are likely to start with. The filters. You are going to start mainly with the boring stuffs. Okay, you are going to start a lot with the boring stuffs. So that's why most of the design UI challenges are basically dealing with the boring stuffs most people do, right? So you should know how to create them. Yeah. So what are the different types of frameworks you can use there to create your design? You have the design thinking framework, double diamond, lean UX, jobs to be done, agile UX. It's important you understand some of these things. So by the end of this program, you are going to read a book. We are going to read 2 books. So you should be aware you're going to read 2 books. Now, these 2 books, 2 major things while you are reading them. One, we all know it's 2023, we are going to 2024. People no longer read books to get knowledge, right? That's not the primary. Yeah, you will get knowledge, but that is not the primary reason why people read books. We know people read books now so that you can also brag about it, So when you're on Twitter space and they're like, oh, have you read the Lean UX? You'll be like, oh, yeah, very interesting, I read it, okay? If they say, have you read Atomic Habits? Since last 2 years, I've done that. So that is one of the reasons why most people read now. But yeah, you can also get the knowledge. So as a UX designer, there are some books you just need to read so that you can also have some bragging rights. Aside from the knowledge, it's good to also have some bragging rights. If not, if you go to a space whereby people who have read the book are discussing, especially those important ones, those ones that are like a must for most people in that profession. If you're in that profession and people are talking about that book and you've not read it, that's when you begin to have, what is it called? Imposter syndrome. You begin to feel like, oh man, I don't know anything, because I don't know this book. So we are going to read those 2 books, right? The one is the design of everyday things. We must read that book. It's very important, okay? So someone asked a question, sir, on the aspect of going straight to flow diagram, when you have an idea, can you show a product that is similar? Can you show a product that is similar to what one is about? Now, if you have a product that is similar to what you want to do, no need for a flow diagram now. You go ahead. That means you have something to show the clients. If you have a solution that they have done that is similar, you don't need flow diagram, except it's for your portfolio project, okay? Your portfolio project, you can even so a lot of people, if you go to Behance, most of the portfolio project are just Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, copy and paste, because some of these things, like I told you guys, are now standard, right? But because it's a portfolio project, you also want to now get to do things like you want to map out the flows and things like that. But in reality, you just copied one app and replicated it, right? So you can just do the flow to present. But in the office, in the workplace, nobody cares about some of these things most times, except you guys are working on something new, something different. Okay, let's say for instance, sometimes some of these there are software companies that actually their solution even require a hardware, so they produce the hardware and produce the software for it. So they have to customize and maximize and optimize the experience. So they have to list out all these things, even the schematics, right? But for you, please don't think too much for now. Okay, don't think too much. You won't save the world right now. So when we get to portfolios as well, we'll also tell you the kind of project to build. If not, you run away from your portfolio. You start a project, you not finish it in 100 years. Your grandchildren will hand it over to your great grandchildren and say, this is the portfolio my grandfather started after Designgate UI UX. I beg, help me complete it so that you can start applying for jobs. So we'll tell you the kind of project to do so that you don't get tired. So they just want to see your thinking. Most recruiters, how to see how you think and your process and how fast you can, how knowledgeable you are. That's why we even say we are going to read some of those books. Okay. Number 2. Okay, what one is about to achieve, but you are not the person that designed. Oh, let me read your question again. Sir, I thought that 2 was like number 2, so I stopped. So let me read your question again. Sir, on the aspect of going straight to flow diagram, when you have an idea, can one show a product that is similar to what one is about to achieve, but you are not the person that designed or built? Yes. I just answered it. The answer is yes. If you have a solution that is similar to a product out there, you use it now. The people that designed the, what's it called, thread, Instagram thread, do you think their inspiration came from heaven? Their inspiration came from Twitter. I'm sure the designer put Twitter on one side and then started designing, and instead of blue, they used black. Anywhere Twitter said Papa, they change it to Pale. If they say Mama, they change it to Male. And then they just do some competitive analysis and tweak some things and push it out. Because, and instead of signing up, they decided less people who have Instagram just use their Instagram to create accounts. Because they don't want a situation whereby they will release it and people that are just too lazy to create a new account with Facebook again won't download the app. So that's why during their journey mapping, they decided, okay, you know what? Let's integrate it directly with Instagram so people can just log in with Instagram. No need to create new accounts. We already have every information about them, right? So, any other question before I proceed? Any other question before I proceed? Okay, great. Okay, so if there are other questions, just paste it out. Someone will copy it out, and I will look at them. So, these UX design frameworks, there are a lot of them, but one of the most popularly used ones is the design thinking framework and the double diamond framework. But in the usual way, we are going to talk about this design thinking framework. Remember, one of the reasons why we are doing this is so that you can actually understand the process. But like I said, when we get to ideation, you will see that some of these things, they just poof out of your head. The ideas come to your head and you just go ahead and do things. Okay? So, under the design thinking framework, we have 3 main steps. You understand the users, you explore options or solution, then you build, materialize. Understand, explore, materialize. By the way, this picture is from freshwork.io, so that's the credit for this illustration. Okay, so under the design thinking framework, you understand, you explore, and you materialize. Under understanding, you have the empathize and define stage, right? Under exploring, you have the ideating and prototyping stage. And under materializing, you have the testing and implementation stage. But like I told you guys, these things are iterative. There are some companies that jump this define and empathize, maybe because based on their experience or based on products they've built, they head directly to ideating and prototyping, then testing and implementing. Maybe during prototyping, they might now discover an issue that might make them go back to the define or empathize stage. Now, it might be that they just discover that, oh, I think people want to move faster. People want to get to where they are going faster. You know what? Then they move directly to ideate and say, let us build a time machine that will enable people to just zip, move to different places and even back in time, right? Then by the time they went to this ideate and they started prototyping, and their prototype is not prototyping and nothing is working, they are unable to even build out. They might even prototype and it will work, because prototype are hypothetical, right? Sometimes they might even prototype and say, okay, we have a machine, do the physics calculation and everything, and it's going to work. Then when they get to testing, it won't work. Or when they get to implementing, they discover that the technology is not there. So what happens? They go back to the define stage to redefine what they want to build. So by the time they do that, they will just say, okay, you know what, there is no time machine, maybe we should just create something that can use that can move at the speed of rockets. At least that one, the technology might be there. And if it is not there, they'll be like, okay, let's do flying cars. If the technology is there, fine. If it is not there, let's just do motor. If the technology is there, if it's not there, let's do bicycle. If the technology is there, fine. If it is not there, okay, you know what, let's continue with horses for now. When the technology is available, we can do all those things. So you can see some people, based on their experience, might not really do this empathize and define stage. So all the products Facebook really own, not all of them went through some of this empathize, define, ideate. Some, based on the data available, they just move to ideate, prototype, then test. If it works, they implement. If it doesn't work, they detect the problem. Either they come back to prototype and fix, or ideating and fixing their solution, or they come back to redefine it. And in some cases, they come back to empathize. Now, let me give you an example now. If you now want to create, like say you want to create a product that allow blind people to drive, empathizing now is putting your place in the place of those blind people, right? To make sure you understand their own world, because you are seeing, you won't understand their own world. So you have to go back and empathize with them. And empathizing with them means you have to really meet people that are, people that are blind. We have different types of blindness. So you also consider that. And then observe them and do a lot of things so you can actually understand them, right? So this question is from Chebuka. Sir, on the aspect of going straight to flow diagram. Okay, I think I've answered this one. Okay, I think it popped up again. So here, when it comes to understanding, we are basically talking about what? Research. When it comes to understanding, because if you don't do research, you might not be able to empathize. The process of empathizing and defining the problem is basically done through research. And we said we have two main types of research. In case you are asking, what type of research should I use? We explained this thing in the last video. So we talked about things like two ways. It could be attitudinal and it could be behavioral. Attitudinal is something like what people say, right? What people say. And behavioral is what people do, okay? What people say in the context of what? Natural use of the product. So when people are using the product, are people using the product? If you are conducting your research, why people are using the product? That is called natural use of product. And in that one, under attitudinal, you can do something like diary studies. So people gather, use the product, and you listen to what they say about the product. You can also do customer feedback, what customers are saying about the product. That's customers that have used the product. What exactly are they saying? You can also do field studies, contextual inquiries, eye tracking, extreme or analytics, and also A/B testing. Remember, these ones are basically on what the natural use of the product. People are using the product. So this is the kind of research you might choose to do. You are not doing all. I'm pleading with you. You are not doing all. In fact, in most cases, what happens is that once you launch a product, you go and look at customer feedback. Okay? You look at customer feedback, and once you look at customer feedback, you are able to know the issues customers are facing, and you are able to fix it. Are we together? Okay, great. Let me see. I think now, if it's a scripted use of the product, there you can go ahead and do usability testing, remote moderated testing, eye tracking, usability benchmarking, or moderated testing. Okay, and if it's a case whereby you have decontextualized, that means not using product, you can go ahead and do things like focus groups, interviews. And if it is limited use of product, maybe not the full product, maybe just a feature or a part of the product. Remember, when I keep saying product in this UX design class, yes, I'm talking about digital products, but this can also include physical products. Okay, as a UX designer, this should teach you how to design both digital products and physical products. Okay, so you take a look at this research method and choose the one that works best for you. But some of these research methods can be really expensive when you start implementing them. They can be really, really expensive. That is why the next thing we're going to take a look at now, it is the main type of research most people do. Okay, the main type of research most people do, especially since you are looking to build a portfolio. These are some of the research types you are likely to do. Truth be told, you might not have money to go and call people for interview. Who you? Are you the liquid metal? I'll be liquid metal. You are not liquid metal. So you must have to, do things that you don't go and spend money. The first one is desk research. So already we know what. Okay, I forgot something again. Remember, you are either collecting quantitative data or qualitative data. Okay, you either collect quantitative data or qualitative data. Now, one of the main researches you are likely going to do is desk research. Desk research or secondary research. Okay, it basically involves gathering information and data from existing sources such as books, articles, reports, databases, and the internet. So it's a method of research where you don't collect new data, but instead analyze and synthesize information that's already available. Are we together? So this is one that you are likely going to be doing. So most of your research, to be honest, are going to be secondary research. You are going to be designing and quoting other research sources, right? Because I'm not sure you have that money. I'm not sure you have that money to be conducting primary research, to gather people and ask them questions. Okay? So that's if you are doing interview or you want to personally go and study people. I'm not sure you have that kind of time and resources. Okay? So it is basically you look into other these things and build from there, right? So you collect this data. They are not new ones, right? You just collect them. What you only do is to analyze and synthesize them. Now, there is something that confuses people. What exactly is analyze and what exactly is synthesize? Okay? Now, analysis basically involves breaking down this problem into smaller chunks. Okay, that's basically what analysis is. When you are asked to analyze something, that means you are looking at a particular thing and you break them down into smaller solvable components. You break them down into smaller pieces that that can be solved. That is basically what you mean by analysis. Okay, For instance, now they said, okay, you are tasked to create something that can fly. You don't just do kaboom and something flies. You begin to break it down. This thing that we want to build, we basically need people to sit. We basically need this and that, this and that. You break it down. Now, for the sitting now, how do you solve the problem of sitting? You basically call in people that build chairs and things like that. The engine, how does it work? Breaking things down into smaller units. That is what you mean by analysis. Now, synthesizing is basically picking those things and piecing those puzzles together to make sense for a problem statement. When you've analyzed, you can now search through patterns that you've seen. You are going to notice bringing those puzzles together to form a viable problem statement. That is what synthesizing means. So there are different ways you could synthesize, okay? But analysis, you should know, is basically breaking down those data into smaller units for you to be able to solve them. So desk research is one of the things you are likely going to be doing a lot, right? Most companies, like I said, don't have money to invest into research. They'll just they expect you to look at what you already have out there. So you want to look at desk research, right? It's also secondary research. So if you see someone saying, I'm conducting a desk research, please don't think they are doing one serious something. Yes, it's a serious business, but if they say desk research, you might think, oh boy, this guy bad, oh, they do desk research. It's actually secondary research. It simply means that they are looking at different sources to analyze and synthesize, then build upon it. Okay. The next one you might be doing is benchmarking. Benchmarking is a process of comparing your own process, operation, product or services against those of competitors or industry leaders or standards. It helps in identifying best practices, areas of improvement, and setting performance standards. Example, heuristic audit. Okay, so like I said, you'll be doing heuristic audit a lot of the time. So you can also benchmark. It's part of research. Yes, that's what you are going to be doing. None of you here are likely to do diary studies. At least for your portfolio project, you might not really do those things. Okay. Then aside benchmarking, you can also do competitive analysis. So these are important things you should know. By the end of this session, right? This session is ending. I think we are likely to end next week. So by that next week, so that we can go into our holiday period. But please, during your holiday period, you'll still be doing your daily UI challenge. Because January, we are going straight to, by January, we are going straight to the advanced UI, which basically runs up the training. But are there websites where we can get desk research on any existing project? It depends. Nobody actually knows all the projects you want to work on. You can just use the internet to Google it, okay? So to Google it. So if you want to work on something on let's say drugs now, drug consumptions, all these pharmaceutical products, you can go to World Health Organization and check if you can see the research they've done. So but we are going to drop some of the lists. So read your articles, read your lessons this week. We'll be dropping some links where you can conduct secondary research, okay, where you can find links, right? Mr. Eugene showed us one where you can get website traffics and things like that, okay? So yes, we'll be sharing all those links. But there is no one website where you can find all of them. But that could be your own project. You can work on it on your own project. One website where you can find everything. But you go tire. Who won't come put everything there? So competitive analysis focuses on analyzing and evaluating the strengths and weaknesses of direct competitors in the market. It involves assessing their strategies, product, market position, pricing, distribution channel, and other factors to understand their competitive advantage and identify opportunities or threats to your own business. Okay, this one is used a lot of the times. Okay, so you identify, you do competitive analysis. So you will also be shown how to do a competitive analysis over the week. Okay, so it's important you stay, because there will be a great there's going to be a great announcement by the end of this live. So make sure you are here. Okay, competitive analysis. Then you have interviews and surveys. Interviews and surveys. This one is one of the most important ones. But interviews, this involves engaging with individuals or large group to gather information, insight, opinion, or perspective on a particular topic. They can be structured. When we say structured, that means with predetermined question, or structured more like a conversation. Okay, so can you guys still hear me? Are we still together? Yeah, if you can hear me, just drop the heart emoji. Let me be sure you guys can hear me. Okay, if you can hear me, drop the heart emoji. I'm waiting for those heart emoji, so I'm sure you guys can hear me. Are we together? Okay. Thames, what exactly is giving you headache? Don't think about them too much. Don't worry. When we are doing the practical, once we are doing the practical, you understand that these things are just big English. They are nothing. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. Okay. Okay. Great. So interviews and surveys. But like I said, you hardly conduct one-on-one interviews, except what you are building is close to home. So you have people that can do it for free, that can do it for you free. Okay. Then yes. But most of what you do is survey. Most of what you are going to be doing is survey. You are going to be surveying. You are going to be doing competitive analysis. You are going to be doing benchmarking. You are going to be doing desk research. Okay? These are some of the things you are going to be doing. And you will learn how to do them. Okay? How to set questions for interviews and all things like that. You are going to learn how to do all those things this week. So it's important you go through your lessons. I beg you. And we are also going to be showing you how to leverage AI for your project, right? We are in 2023. If any designer tells you they are not leveraging AI, either they are lying or they will go out of work very soon. Yes, Chebuka, big grammar fool this industry, yes. Now those big grammars is just what UX designers use to chop stakeholders' money. Okay, if I sit down and look at if I should go and read about a research someone did and base my decision on that research, and I come to you and say, give us money for the research we've done, will you pay? You will not pay now, or you will not release the fund. But if I come to your office and say, sir, we need some fund to conduct a desk research, sharp you release money. Okay, because you know the big grammar, desk research. Your papa know what is desk research? The answer is no. So you have to release the fund so that we can conduct a desk research. Then we come back and we are like, sir, we need to conduct a benchmark and a competitive analysis with our direct competitors and indirect competitors in order to ascertain or get enough data to back our design decision. You release fund. Okay? But if I tell you, yes, sir, we want to compare and contrast between these two products and see how we can make our own better, your guy will just tell you, yeah, now go and compare and contrast. No money for you. So at the end of the day, we are also going to release a glossary. So we'll release a glossary so that people can look at all these big names and the definition, so you are able to communicate with your fellow UX designers, right? What the mistake you want to do as a UX designer is not knowing some of these things and their meaning. Like I just told you, imagine you are in the midst of other UI UX designers and they are discussing and they are like, yeah, actually for that solution, I actually got the insight from a desk research I did. Then someone is out there saying, which benchmarks did you use? You know, they are just discussing. Inside you are like, hey, I don't know anything. Then you start having this, you start having this imposter syndrome, not knowing that they are just basically speaking big grammars, okay? Fuzzy Tech, I love your teachings. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for that. Someone says, John Akinto said, sir, be like say you don't use and make money before with the definitely you use them to get money, right? So the bigger the English, the more funding. That's just the truth. The bigger the English, the more funding. Some of these things, all of them, they are common sense, right? But just that some people have, packaged this common sense. In fact, some of these things are things you are even doing. But when they call the name, you'll be like, Omo, I need to learn how to do this. By the time you register for the course and they teach you, you'll be like, as I've been doing this thing now, I've been doing it all these years. Then after you, don't worry, it is called desk research. Okay, and your 50K don't go for desk research masterclass. Okay, so we are going to be taking a look at how to do all these things. Okay, pretty fine. So any question before I move, because we are heading to the end of today's session. If you have any question, drop it in the comment section so that we can answer it and be able to move to the next round of this live before we conclude. So like I said, there will be an announcement by the end of this live. So it's a very important announcement. So it's good you stay and actually listen to the announcement, okay? So let's answer some questions. Okay, let's answer some questions so we can proceed. Okay, so no question. That means you guys are actually digging and understanding, right? Don't worry, by the time we still do practical, you understand better, okay? Now, you can, like I said, when you can do benchmarking and also you can do interviews. Interviews could be direct interviews, right? It could be non-directed interviews, okay? So some people call it direct, some people call it structured. So determine on which one you think your boss will not understand, right? So depending on which one you think your boss will not understand, so you can release more money, or depending on the one that you think sound more serious. So you can be like, well, I would recommend we go for an unstructured interview, and they'll be like, wow, this is unstructured, it should cost more. Or you can say, I think we should go with a non-directed interview. They'll be like, what, non-directed? If it is directed, it might be cheap. Let's go with the non-directed one. But here's the thing, they can be structured, that is with predetermined questions, or unstructured, which is more like having a therapy session, you're having a conversation with the person, okay? So when it is structured, predetermined question, you have to organize the questions. Exactly, when Oga releases funds, sharp, you say voila. Okay, that is great. Yes, heuristic audit is under benchmarking, right? It's under benchmarking too. Is an English word. It is not serious. If it's an English word, okay? So don't let these English words confuse you, okay? It's just comparing things based on a standard. That is benchmarking. You compare things based on standard. The only thing is that they might not ask you what benchmarking did you use. Then you start blowing big English. Okay? So these interviews, they can be structured or they can be unstructured. So like I said, structured means you are using a script. Most of the interviews, because you don't want to mess up, you want to use a script. Okay? You want to use a script and you write out from how you greet the person, how you introduce yourself and the team, and then all the questions that will be asked. We are going to share templates for you and explain how to use all those templates so you don't make mistakes, right? And once it's done, you get to the last point. It's like acting out something. Then aside that, you now have you now have unstructured. Unstructured, which is more like having a conversation. So the person sits and you are asking the person question and the person is answering, and then you keep asking questions. Now, if you are just starting out, avoid unstructured ones because it increases your bias. If you are just starting and you have not practiced much, if you are having an unstructured interview, it's going to increase your bias. Let's assume you want this particular thing to work, and the time you're asking the person the question, the person is like, I'm not actually taking Coca-Cola, I prefer Fanta. You'll be like, are you not black? Are you not black? Coca-Cola is not black. Why would you leave Fanta for Coca-Cola that is black for Fanta? Tell me again, are you sure you don't like Coca-Cola? The person might now look at you and be like, okay, I like Coca-Cola. But if it is scripted, there is no chance for you to impute your own things, your own words, or your own this thing. So it's better. So as you are starting, you are likely going to be using structured ones. Also, as a UX, as a beginner, most companies or most times, let's assume your lead, the person that is supposed to conduct the interview, is not around. They might just give you the script, and you hardly go there and pose like now you write them. So you are just asking the questions, and the person is providing the feedback. You are taking note of it. Later you send it to the main person, right? So yeah, so interviews and survey. So let's recap again. When it comes to detecting and defining, I think that's a typo there. So detecting and defining problems, what exactly are you looking at? You observe, you understand, you analyze. Observe, understand, and analyze. Now, as you are just starting, you might find it difficult picking out some things when observing. With practice, you become better at observing, right? Like, that is why there will be a day where we will one of the days we are going to dedicate it to going through a lot of things so you can actually observe, okay? So observing is actually a skill. So you should be able to look, observe. As you observe, you understand. Once you get understand, now when we talk of understanding in this case, we are talking about getting the idea, understanding what is behind users' motivation, right? What exactly is behind the user's motivation? That is what we mean by understanding. And in UX terms, they are called mental models. Okay? So when you hear UX designers, saying things like mental models, the user's mental model, it's not something big. They are simply saying the motivation behind the user's action. That is mental model. Okay? We read a lot. Some of you that went through the basic psychology of UX should have a basic understanding of this, because we talked about it. We talked about mental models. Okay? So please, if you have not been reading the lessons, it's extremely important you go and read the lessons. They are there to help you. Like I told you guys, those lessons are not technical things. They are basically knowledge related things. So you read them, you get the knowledge. Okay? You read them, you get the knowledge. They are not things that have to do with 1 + 1 or x = y = z. No. They are knowledge based. Once you read them, they enter your head. You move over to the next one. And you can always, now once you have that knowledge, okay, you can always revert back to them in future. So it's not like once you finish reading it, you are not permitted to ever come back to them. No. Once you finish reading them, you have that knowledge. Once you are trying to forget, you come back. Just like that heuristic audit, that's Jacob's 10 usability heuristic. You are not supposed to cram them. At every point in time, you go back to them, read all of them, know what it's for, and conduct your heuristic audit. Over time, you will just know them, right? So please, try as much as possible to make sure you go through those the lessons on the portal. They are very, very helpful, okay? So you observe, then understanding the user, the motivation behind the user's action. That is the mental models, because different users are going to be motivated by different things. Now, by the time you do this, you can start analyzing. That is tearing to pieces those, wider things, and then bringing them together in smaller pieces, and then trying to solve those problems in those smaller pieces. Okay. So that is it. Now let's take a look at the next one, which is defining problems. Okay. So defining problems are based on the insights gathered. Remember, defining problems are based on the insights gathered. These insights could be on the desk research you did, or the survey you did, or the benchmarking you did, or the competitive analysis you did. Okay? But mostly it's based on the survey, right? So you get these things from understanding the user. Okay? Remember, understanding the user falls under the empathy and define stage. Okay? So here you are trying to now define exactly what the problem is. So define problems are based on the insight gathered. This problem should be specific. Your problem should always be specific, actionable, and focused on improving the user experience. Important things to note: specific, actionable, and focused on improving the user's experience. Don't define a problem with your own personal problems. We know you have problems. We know you have frustrations. But please, after you've conducted your research, don't go and define your problem, the problem based on your own frustration. Define it based on the insight you gathered. And it should be specific, actionable, and focused on improving the user experience. And example is, users are having difficulty finding the checkout button on the website. That is a problem. Okay? It is specific. Users are having difficulty finding the checkout button. It is also actionable, finding the checkout button, and is focused on the checkout button. So with this kind of problem, you might actually now know exactly the people you are showing it to, or when you are trying to ideate, you know exactly what to be looking out for. Okay? Now, there are different ways you could come up with this. You might use how might we, okay? The how might we framework. More on this on the platform this week. We are going to talk more on how might we. You can use it to say, okay, like that that survey we looked at, we can say, how might we solve the navigation problem at Wesley University? How might we help students, okay? How might we help students move from their location to their classroom at Wesley University? So you can see that when you define your problem like this, it opens up that room for people to know exactly how to think. So what is the problem statement? How might we help students in Wesley University to move from their location to their respected classes? It's specific, it's direct, it's actionable. So you begin to now, if you fail to wrap the question, the problems, define the problem well, okay? If you fail to define the problem well, you might have issues, okay? You might have issues creating or ideating. If it is too broad, and that is why I think it's a little bit more difficult to fix Nigeria, because most people that wants to be president will tell you, I will fix Nigeria in 24 hours. But then they don't define the problem. A lot of these leaders don't define the problem. If you ask them, Ngwa, Oya, Ogbeni, what is the problem with Nigeria? Church will close. Right? So that is one of the main issues we have in the leadership sector. When you ask them, what is the problem with Nigeria? Church don't close. But once you say, how can we change Nigeria? Oh, build few schools, free schools, free food, free beer every 5 p.m. You know, but because we are not even able to define the problem, we don't even know how to solve it. So if you miss this problem definition, you might not actually be able to solve it or ideate. So it's important. So more documents will be released on these things. Okay. So on the document, you also take a look at affinity mapping. We'll take a look at how might we and affinity mapping. But like I said, again, I'm repeating it again. You see this affinity mapping? Nobody cares. You only do this for your project so that the recruiter will be like, this person did lots of work. I like it. Hard worker. Right? In reality, nobody cares. So, but you learn it. So that when you are discussing with people and they're like, have you done the affinity mapping? You'll be like, yeah, I've done affinity mapping. Right? But just know that there are different types of mapping. No? It's not only affinity mapping. There are different types of mapping. There are basically 4 types. We have 4 types of, 4 or 5 types of mapping. You have like the empathy map, customer journey map. You have the experience map and business blueprint map and things like that. But don't worry about all those things. You don't need them right now. Later on, you can start, when you are a pro, you can start using those things to confuse people. We are going to look at the most important ones you need, and that is defining the problem using the how might we framework. Okay? How might we framework is an easy way to define problems. If you start with how might we, because some of you, if you are not given these guarded rails and you are asked to define problem, 10 pages never do. You might change it to, you might turn it to a complaint. Are we together? So you can also go ahead to create personas. Okay? You can also go ahead to create personas. Remember, when you are creating personas, personas are based on your data. Okay? You can create empathy maps, create personas. Remember, these things are based on your data. And in a later class, we'll take a look at how to create personas, okay? So that you can add it to your project, okay? For instance, the map survey, the Wesley University survey you looked at, some of the personas could be, it could be from the perspective of a new student. It could be from the perspective of a teacher. It could be from a perspective of a visitor. It could be from a perspective of an existing student. So these are different personas, right? That's a summary of some of the categories of users that are likely going to use that app. And you are going to create those personas based on data. Don't fake anything. The issues most people have with personas and all these empathy maps that makes it very confusing for most of them is because they are faking it. They are using data that are fake. They are trying to craft it from their head. They are trying to write it on their own. English, they don't even sabi speak. And they are trying to write the persona on their own. That is when you now see persona. It will not be personified enough, right? But when you are using real data from your research, you will find it easy, right? If you are using real data, you are going to find it easy. It's not going to be difficult. Because if you are using real data, you will now know the age bracket, the age demography of people that you interviewed, which are the potential users. From their interview or from their submissions, you are going to identify their pain points. You are going to identify their frustration. Example, in that survey, when you look at it, you notice that some of their frustration include things like missing class, right? So you identify all those their frustration, and now it's easy for you to build a scenario around it. Okay, but if you are not working with real life data and you are trying to now you set interview question, now you answer interview question because you don't have good friends that will help you answer, now you still go the form empathy map and all these things, you will tire, and at the end of the day the whole story will not connect because you lied inside. So if you know you are going to lie inside that research, please just start from the beginning and lie. Arrange the story from the beginning as a very sweet lie and organize so everything will tally. Because if you do some real and some lie, it will not tally you. Okay, so we'll take a look at how to create personas in the during the week, right? And then you can move straight to ideating. Okay, user research, prioritization, problem definition, problem. Okay, we'll take a look at this next week. We'll move straight after you've defined the problem. The next thing is to move straight to ideating. Now, when it comes to ideating, it's all about brainstorming, body storming, and mind mapping. Brainstorming is basically where you get everybody, all the team members, or if it is only you, you sit down and start thinking of different solutions based on the problem you've defined. Okay, you look at the problem, you start thinking of different solutions. Now, the most important thing when brainstorming is to understand that you are looking at quantity over quality. You are not looking at quality at that time, you are looking at quantity. Just write out as many ideas that are entering into your head. You are not trying to make them look good, okay? But like I said, if you don't narrow down the problem statement well enough, you won't be able to ideate. So it needs to be narrowed down well enough, specific and actionable for you to start thinking in the right direction. Although there is also a brainstorming technique where you are asked to think in the opposite direction. It's also a technique, right? It's called worst possible idea. So you can start thinking of the worst possible idea to that solution. It's also a technique, you can use it in ideating solution. By the time you think of a worst possible idea, you can now do reverse engineering to refine it. But just know that once you have your problem statement, you need to start thinking of different ideas, quantity over quality. Okay, you can also use body storming. This one na fake, is fake. If you see anybody doing this body storming for most digital products, they are faking. They are wasting time. There are some products where you might need body storming. Yes, there are some products where you might need body storming. But leave them. They are not plenty. So if you see any team trying to say they did body storming, they are just having fun. Body storming is basically when you act out these scenarios in order to generate ideas, right? So you also have mind mapping. Mind mapping is thinking freely and connecting the dots. You keep thinking, maybe you say water. What is water? Water is in the river. In the river you have ocean. You just keep thinking freely and start connecting the dots. Water, how does water relate to cup? Water is put into, you just keep, you keep thinking freely. Mind mapping is a tool used by different individuals. Okay, so you just keep, you try to create different connection with that one keyword, and later on you begin to analyze and synthesize them and begin to make sense and begin to find patterns. Okay, so that's mind mapping. So after that, once all these ideas, Sadiq Yusuf, hello sir, I'm on the stream too and I can't join the group link. Thank you sir. Send a message to the admin if you're already on the general Designgate channel, the one with the blue logo. Okay, I think it should be easy for you to join the group. I don't know why. Okay, so so once you've gotten all these ideas out, you don't just go and work on them. You might now have to prioritize them, and you prioritize them based on impact and effects. There's a graph called impact and effect. Okay, so we'll take a look at all those during the week. Okay, but now here is the thing. All these things I'm saying, then after brainstorming and getting your ideas, you can now proceed to information architecture. That's basically arranging the parts of your app to be understandable. Okay, we will take a look at 8 principles of information architecture and also how to do information architecture. But these things are big English. Like I keep saying, if I stay here and read all these things and explain all these things, as it's entering your left ear, it will be going out of your right ear very easily, because English is not our language. Okay, so it enters the left ear and it goes out from the right ear. So the best way to actually understand these things are through hands-on practical. Okay, so Chiebuka said some people find it easy to use Google Map, why it is confusing for some people. As a UX, what can you do? Is to get those two people, do a research with those two people that are finding it easy and then those people that are finding it difficult, right? Then you analyze it and then see why those people that are finding it difficult. You definitely notice a pattern from those people that are finding it difficult. Once you find it, you define the problem, and then you might now ideate on how to solve the problem. Okay, so sometimes you might find out that maybe people that are finding it difficult are people using ITEL, maybe 2019 ITEL or 2006 ITEL. Now once you discover that the problem is with people using 2006 ITEL phone, forget them. If they cannot upgrade their phone, they should go. So there are some users you should also forget. There are some users that the issue they are experiencing your problem is not your fault. Now them, no one buy better phone. But if it is not a device issue, you can go ahead and solve it. Okay. So, like I said, if we keep talking, it goes into the left ear, goes out of the right ear. So the best way is to what? Practicalize these things. So on that note, this will be the first announcement, like I said, I'm going to make at the end of this program. So we have 2 projects at hand. Okay, 2 projects. One project is on the heuristic studies we did. We are going to be grouped. Okay, we are going to be grouped. This will be done next year, but we are going to be grouped this year. Okay, we are going to be grouped, and each group will be tasked with redesigning it in a way they think is the best. Okay, but here is the thing, it is not, don't fear, it's not a do-alone project. It's not a do-alone project. Okay, you are still in the learning phase. We don't want you to be too independent right now, so you don't go and make wrong choices. Some of you, your designs, they look good, but by the time someone goes to your Figma, it looks like hellfire. So we want to make sure that is not your case. We don't want you to design and then you post your design, oh, it looks nice. Then we go to your Figma, we are seeing layers, frames that are not named. We are seeing you using a full stop for dots, maybe on a calculator. On a calculator, you went and used full stop and made it big. We don't want that. Maybe where you are supposed to use a line, you are using a rectangle, right? So we don't want you to do some of these mistakes. So yes, one of the projects we are going to be working in group. So in group, we are going to be redesigning that website. Different group will redesign it. You can use different name for it. Okay, so we are going to be redesigning that website in groups. So each group is going to be monitored and given support. So you are doing it with the instructor and some other people that will come on board to help you guys out. Okay, so you people are doing it moderated. You are going to be told, this is how you do it, this is what you do. Okay, tell me why you did this. But at the same time, you'll be given it will be based on your input. Okay, it will be based on your input, because your input will help us understand that, okay, what you actually wrote during your heuristic audit, okay, makes sense. So we are going to, divide you guys in groups, and the groups, you will now be given all your heuristic audit booklets. Now, once you are giving your heuristic audit booklet, you people will now come together, create a workshop, analyze it, and then arrange everything. David, they have catch you back. So you arrange everything and you start work. So that is number one. Okay, that is number one. Number two, for your, so that one you get, that means on your portfolio you have a full website. Okay, a complete website. Now the next thing we are going to see on your portfolio is we are going to be developing the navigation app for Wesley University. So throughout this week, on Thursday or Friday, we are going to be having classes. So the classes we are going to be having nowadays is going to be on Fig Jam and Whimsical. So live class where we talk, you don't finish for UX design. The live class where we come and talk, you don't finish. So live classes, we are going to have our live classes 2 times a week. Sadiq Yusuf, I'll take note of your, I've taken note of your name, so I'll send you a message if you're on the group. Okay, so I'll check and I'll send you a message. Okay, so like I said, we are going to be designing that app for what is it called? Wesley University. Okay, so this week we are going to start. You see all this big English that we've done. This week we are going to start analyzing and synthesizing that research together. So if what you are to expect this week is that by Wednesday you would have read some lessons, you would have gone through some lessons. Then everyone here in stream 1 is going to be invited to the Fig Jam file, where we can start our synthesizing, brainstorming, defining the problem, ideating, doing the information architecture, practical, okay? Practical is going to be purely practical. We are going to do it together, and once we've done it together, we are going to have an idea of what to build. That one now, we will now use that project. You see that map project? That is what we are going to be designing in our Advanced UI series. Okay, that's from January. So you have one project you are going to be working on as a group, which is the website you conducted heuristic audit on, and then you have this other project that we are going to synthesize by next week. We are going to analyze, synthesize, and ideate by next week and next 2 weeks. By next year, we are going to start designing it, and we'll be using it as while learning the Advanced UI. Okay, remember this program is completely free. So by the time we are done with Advanced UI, that means we've completed our 3 months training. Immediately after that, yes, some of you that were unable to do the heuristic audit, we are going to group all of you together, so you will be in the dark, because I don't know what you people are going to do without conducting the heuristic audit. So you people will be there, or however you people want to do it. However you people want to do it, you do it. But remember, if you don't do it, it's a big point that you've missed. Right? So because we are going to group, we are going to actually score your submissions, both as a group and individual. Remember, the map is individual. So yes, we'll definitely drop those materials. We'll drop those materials, FaziTech. We'll drop the materials in the group. Okay, we've already dropped some of the heuristic audit template workbook. Okay, so like I said, 2 things. this week that we are entering, we are doing practical UX, right? Based on that survey we did for Wesley University, we are going to start analyzing, synthesizing, and ideating. Tomorrow you have some lessons. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday you have some lessons. Then Thursday we are meeting live on FigJam. So the file is going to be shared. So once the link is shared, please kindly use it, activate your students Figma package, then join the link, because everyone is going to be contributing. So it's like a team. Okay, we'll do it from Thursday down to next week. So everything we are doing from Thursday down to next week will all be practical. All the live session will be practical. Okay, so yeah, so that's what we'll be doing. So once we are done with it, we'll now start designing it from January, which is our advanced UI course, because that one is not going to be like Spendy. If you look at Spendy, there are a lot of issues with Spendy in terms of design. So what I want you guys to do, by the time we are done with advanced UI course, if you want to include a fintech app like Spendy on your portfolio, you can go ahead and redesign Spendy, making sure it is pen. I know for you people, you putting Spendy is so fine, but it's not. There are some intentional issues with Spendy, okay? Design issues with, not UX now, but design, okay? We did it just so that we don't go too far and you people get lost, okay? But once you've done the advanced UI, you understand, you start seeing, oh, we're supposed to do this here, and we didn't do it, or we would have added something here, and we didn't add it, just to make the app to pop, okay? So all those people that will tell you, pop, we are going to make app to pop. Odunayo, how can we activate our student package on Figma? We are going to show you that, okay? We are going to show you that exactly once we share the link. We will show you that so that you don't go and do mistake, okay? So, so those are the that's the announcement. And lastly, we are also going to be having a Designgate hangout, okay? So every member of Designgate Stream 1 this December, depending on your state, there is going to be a hangout. So we are going to send in a form. So we send in the form, everyone fills in. We want to know people that will be there, okay? So we send in a form, you fill it. I think the form should come in next weekend. So everyone fills it. Then I think it should be on the dates. I've forgotten the dates it was fixed for, but I think it's either 20-something, thereabouts. Either 20-something or before 20-something. So there's going to be a hangout. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And yes, you guys are going to have some refreshment as well. So once we get the details of each of the students in different states, we are going to arrange them and discuss with whoever that will be coordinating it, so that we can make arrangements for refreshment for you guys. So you guys can actually meet, network, gist, eat, laugh, and also share videos with us, and also post on your social media platforms. So yes, there's going to be enough food. Usually if I go for an outing and there is no food, the outing doesn't out well. It doesn't out well for us. So yes, there's going to be enough to eat and drink. Okay, so yeah, so those are the 3 important announcements. So I've announced the projects we are going to be working with for advanced UI design. I've also announced the group project. And I've also announced the outing. So Vixen Design said, oh, mom, make I go, they find data money. So Vixen Design, if you actually create a very nice design and drop on the platform, you automatically win 5 gig. Hope you are aware of that. Although all this while, it's only Sakani Sakani have won almost 20 gig of data from Designgate, because he's always delivering hot designs. And yes, some people also want scholarship into some of our programs. So please don't forget, we are always looking at your designs. If you create something good, you will benefit from it, okay? So that person that said Mr. Willis is having a party did not lie. I think that person is a prophet, either a prophet or a prophetess. They saw the future. Sakani, I can see you, well done. Okay, but you have not been giving us hot designs anymore. What happened? Please, we like when people give us hot designs so they can win a lot of data to support their learning. And also, don't forget, when you score 100 over 100 in your assessment, if you score 100 over 100 in your assessment, you automatically enter the leaderboard to actually contest for our 200,000 naira student support prize. So we have 200,000 naira to share. So once you get 100% in any of your assessments, you automatically get like a golden ticket. Although I'm not sure I'm going to see anyone entering again. I think Starboy was very, very lucky. Okay, but aside the people scoring 100%, don't forget the leaderboard is also made up with the aggregate of your scores. So if you score based on, I think last time we posted the people that are the first, second, and third. I think Sakani Snow and Starboy, and then one other person. That person is a silent achiever, right? I hardly notice his or her design, but once his assessment, you go finish them. So those are the things we are looking forward to putting out to make the whole learning experience better off. So yeah, so guys, if you have any other question, I want you to post them now. Please continue your UI challenge. UI challenge starts tomorrow, okay? UI challenge continues tomorrow with your lessons. Then on Thursday, we are going to be having that live UX. The live UX session starts on Thursday. So if you don't have data, your UI design this week should be top notch, so that anyone you submit and you get that cup, if you get that cup reaction, remember we have the thumbs up reaction, we have the clapping reaction. Thumbs up means you can post. It's manageable, you can post. Clap reaction means amazing. Yes, post it and it's also amazing. When you get a clap or a heart, it's better than the thumbs up. So you people should know, all of you getting thumbs up, it's not like the design is so good. Thumbs up means you can, I beg, let sleeping dog lie, you can post, you are just starting, which is fine. Okay, but thumbs down means no poster. I've seen some of you posting bad designs and tagging Designgate. We'll go and start blocking you people. Anyway, that's a joke, but please always make sure you send it in so that we can actually okay, Fasitech, I'll take a look at your question. I think it has been copied out. I've seen it. Okay, so please, if you get that cup reaction, automatic 5 gig for you. No matter the network, we'll give you 5 gig. Now, if you get that cup reaction from Monday to Wednesday, that is 15 gig. Yeah, so okay, so Fasitech, so I also have more questions. I always find my portfolio file damaged. Please, what could be that? I use Wix website for portfolio. This could be from your village people. Why will your portfolio file be always damaged? Are you only the one on Wix? Anyway, Fasitech, if you actually registered for guided assistance, people that register for guided assistance, we are going to be teaching them how to use WordPress to develop their own website where they are going to put their portfolio. So you might want to do that class, okay? But I can't really provide a direct answer. I used Wix a very long time ago. So when you say damage, I really don't understand what you mean by the file damaged. Is it that the file don't show, or you try to enter your website that you have on Wix and it doesn't come up? I really don't understand what you mean by the file damaging. So maybe if you can be clear. Okay, so we are basically done for today, but if you have any question, please drop the questions, and don't forget to like the video and also interact with it. Drop the question so that we can answer it. But if I don't get the question in the next 5 minutes, we'll go ahead to round up for today. Also, lastly, from tomorrow henceforth, no more feedback on your daily UI UX challenge. So once you design, you can just share and get either thumbs up or thumbs down. Adijat Bello, I hope Abuja people are plenty here. Adijat Bello, so I'm likely going to see you. Yes, Abuja people. Hopefully Abuja people are plenty here. And I think those of us in Abuja will enjoy it more. We will look for a nice location. Samuel King said, I need that cup because sub money don't finish for middle of month. So it's very easy. Samuel King is very easy. Look for a good reference image. Design it perfectly, indistinguishably. If you want to go and look for a bad reference image, that's your own. Look for a good one. Design it, touch it up, let it be bougie. I want to see it and be like, why is this guy still a learner? That is what will give you that cup. In fact, the truth is, if you see those people that have those cups, you too, when you look at those designs, inside your mind you know that this thing fine, no be lie. So it's not, there is no bias, right? We don't look at anybody's face. It's the design we're after. The file don't show. Okay, Fuzzy Tech, I think I will personally chat you on Telegram so that we can solve your week's issues. Okay, so we'll solve it. So when files don't show on a website, it's majorly a case of broken links. Okay, broken links or bad internet network. Me that is traveling out of Abuja. Now, wow. If you are traveling out, hopefully we are able to meet before then. Okay. Someone said the Stream 2 portal is still open for registration. Yes, it's still open for registration till January. Okay, till January. So just visit designgate.academy. You are going to register. You can either register for free, or if you want those free, if you want to join the guided assistance, you can pay the 10K. The 10K is just there. It's not really like the cost of the design, the cost of the tutorial. Remember, the cost of this bootcamp is actually 150K, but our sponsors at Terra Skills and GEF Foundations are the ones that have been sponsoring us. Okay, so yeah, so it's important to note that. Mr. Will, sometimes it's difficult to find good design. You search and search and search for a long time. Yes, this is a very good question. So Rachel, most times the difference between your pro designers, all those designers you envy on Twitter, most of the time the difference between them are basically the resources they have. Okay, why some of us might be going to Dribble, Behance and the rest, there are some websites where you can actually see great inspirations, and I think in this next 15 days we are going to increase the website. Already we've shown you Dribble, Behance, and we've also showed you Mobile. Okay, so this week you are going to be getting more websites to look for inspiration. We don't want to start with websites where you go for inspiration and it turns to discouragement, because all the designs there you will not be able to do any one. But I really believe that on Behance and the Dribble you can actually get nice inspirations. Okay, in fact, Dribble is so good for inspiration that they have something called Dribble Designs. Thames baby, announcement. You have to repeat this video. If I start this announcement, that's extra 10 minutes. But we only said that we are going to be having we've identified projects we are going to be using for the advanced UI course, which is using the survey from Wesley University. Then we said we're also going to be having a group project, which we'll be doing by redesigning the website we conducted a heuristic audit on. And lastly, we said we are going to be having a get together. So a link will be shared, so we know all those people in different states will be shared the link, and then we can pick out an organizer and then fund it so that people can get refreshments when you meet. and you can always take photos, videos, and share online, so that it helps with building the friendship, the community, and also making your learning experience better. All this is sponsored by Terra Skills and Designgate, okay, and the GS Foundation. So you're only paying for your transport. Okay, I think there are no other questions. Yeah, you can see Chebuka, truly Sakina, they blow my mind with better designs. Now, it's not also a crime. You can also slide into Sakina's DM and say, bros, I hail you, bros. Please, where do they get all this inspiration from? So that, I don't even know if Sakina is a lady or a guy, so that he or she can actually, share his or her secret with you. Okay. I think we've come to the end of today's meeting. I hope you guys learned something. But if it has already gone out of your head, because it's reading, okay, don't worry. The lessons you are going to read this week, from now to Wednesday, we bring them back into your head. When you are reading the lesson, because you've heard all these things, you've heard all this explanation, when you are reading the lessons, it's just going to be like it's coming back to you, right? And when we now do the practical, it will stick. That is the technique, okay? It's going to stick. When you do things off more time, it sticks, okay? So, now after the 3 months design, you can now go ahead and do your portfolio. But for those ones that paid for guided assistance, remember, for your portfolio, you also have someone assigned to you to, check in with you while you are designing. Then you'll be given all those portfolio resources, the video templates. You'll be given some video templates so that your presentation can be wow. When you have it and you create a presentation like this, oh my God, even you'll be so proud of your portfolio. You will start submitting interviews, you start submitting your CVs with full chest. You will not be submitting it with doubt. Okay, great. Thank you, Fazitech. Thank you. I'm happy that you learned something. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending this live session. Remember to keep reading. Okay, so by the time we are done, we'll still read those 2 books. Okay, everyone, have a lovely night and see you next week, Thursday. Bye-bye.
One, two,